Welcome, everyone, to our Resilient, Wild, and Unstoppable interview series. And today we get to speak with Zoe. And I've had the opportunity to have a small chat with Zoe, and she's just a powerful woman. And I really want you to listen and hear her and really really step into the power that she brings in her own confidence. And so, Zoe, I would love to know what actually got you started in really helping women with their confidence. And it's just so powerful, and I love what you are doing. So please introduce yourself and let people know.
Hi everyone, and thank you very much, Kat, for having me on your amazing show and this amazing group that I'm getting to know. And yeah, resilient, wild, and
And
unstoppable
unstoppable.
really speaks to me. So my name's Zoe. I am the Courageous Communication Diva. And it all started. So I have facial paralysis, a rare form, which is known as Mobius or Mobius syndrome, one of those rare diseases. And it means because I don't have much facial expression, because the nerves were never evolved properly.
Mm,
There are studies out there that show that people like me are often mistaken to have an intellectual disability because there is a level of communication that we are not capable of.
mm,
So we get very creative with our communication. Um, Voice modulation, hand gestures, body language where possible. Um, and nevertheless, yeah, so I was lucky that I was able to study, I was able to travel, and I was able to have a 26-year corporate career, which I'm now ending. But it was during that time that I realized, well, I've really got some I've achieved things, and yet, not only was I not seeing the rewards um, in the workplace, it got worse, and I actually experienced some very extreme bullying.
mm,
And yeah, obviously, of course, for a while, it knocked my confidence down massively.
mm.
And at first, I escaped. So I was still in corporate, and I eventually I got help inside the organization, which was amazing. That was great. Um, but I also had to have a kind of escape and started building things on the side, such as a translation, a freelance career in various things. And well, yeah, because then I was also single for a very long time, and there were different things going on about 10 years ago where I suddenly was empowered by somebody to say, hey, go and look. If you want a partner, go and look for one. It is possible for you. And nobody had ever challenged me before on that. So, and of course, that was a journey in itself.
Mm.
But in I suddenly, when I started to go on that journey, and I then had some crazy successes. I mean, I'm now happily married, by the way. Um, um, but when I met this guy who is now my husband, once I was just taken aback by what was suddenly possible.
Hmm.
And I realized, I think, what if that's possible, what else is possible for me? I've been working on this freelance thing and I want to do something else. And what if that is possible?
Mm.
And yeah, it's basically all the discoveries I made on the way that I realized, wow, I wasn't taught this. I had no idea. I thought, wow, I don't want other people to go through life in the way I did. And I'm grateful for all the stuff I've experienced.
Hmm.
And yet at the same time, I thought, wow, I'd love this stuff is not taught in school. This stuff needs to be shared
Hmm.
with other women in particular. And that's sort of where my journey has come from.
That is amazing. I suddenly had this visual of you being in a box that all of a sudden you just shattered the walls of the box.
Right. I
Yes.
so did, yes.
And just broke through all that to go, yes, anything is possible. Oh my gosh. That's exciting. And when you speak about where you've been and what you've experienced, where do you go from here now in working with the women that you're working with and the people that you are working with?
Well, what is happening right now? I mean, whew, and this is exactly a year ago. So I I had some issues at the corporate job. Then I got help. But in the last couple of years, we've had more restructuring, and because there were still things that I hadn't learned or I didn't know. Sometimes there are things you just don't do because you don't even know the questions to ask.
Hmm.
And there were certain things that I didn't, let's say I had ambitions and I didn't know how to voice those ambitions because I had a plan, but I never shared it with anyone
Mm.
because I was afraid of being seen as illoyal. And let's say in the last couple of years, increasingly I was being weighed down by by a job that I had, a part of a job that I had been doing for 23 years, and it
Wow.
was so monotonous, and that made me ill. Basically, that made me ill. It led to burnout. And literally today, a year ago, I looked in my diary today and it said, yeah, this was the first negotiation round to see if I can get a different job inside the organization.
Hmm.
Um, to cut the story short, it didn't, but um, the great thing was that I knew I made a decision that is we are not staying there. There is something has to shake.
Hmm.
Um, and then in the summer, we it was announced that there are going to be lots of people made redundant or voluntary redundancy. And it took me 2 days, or it took me no time at all to realize, right, this is your opportunity. Um, I don't know what the package is like, but you just need to make that decision to go. You have to go. This is your
Yeah.
opportunity. Um, and um, and since well, now that the negotiations are over, because I was also representing the staff in the negotiations, um, asking for more money, asking for more things. And now that they are over, I am sensing, and I am literally at the end of this month. I've got 2 more working days, and then I'm out of there. And the momentum, because of course I've been busy now, very focused in the last couple of weeks, focusing what is happening after corporate. And and it's been quite exciting. It's literally, as they say, Lily says, as you walk on the way appears.
Hmm.
And yeah, recently it was very much fun. I had these 2 workshops, or a workshop called From Invisible to Unstoppable, because the people I love working with the most are often minority women. I think there are some men, but mainly minority women who feel unseen, or they do not feel seen in their potential and they want to be building something on the side or instead of their organizational career. And
Hmm.
they also want to be paid for it.
Yeah, that is so awesome and so powerful because as you have uncovered what really is possible in knowing that everything is possible and your way and your path is being formed as you are moving forward, it's really, it sounds like it's really a great opportunity for you to help other women be seen, be valued, be heard and really know what is possible for them. Is that how I'm hearing it?
Um, I I think that is pretty much it. So I talk about charisma, I talk about going on stages, I talk about speaking, public speaking. I love public speaking. Um, but I also love social media. I've had media journalist interviews. I've been on TV, radio, the press.
Wow.
Um um and but I was discussing discussing with somebody recently about a book proposal, and this person, a friend of mine, we were talking about the subject, and she said, "Yeah, what about visibility?" And I thought, yeah, all of it boils down to visibility. Because visibility is not just being on social media. It
Mhm.
can be a big thing, but it is not the sole thing. And um, social media is amazing, but some people feel uncomfortable, and there are ways of overcoming that, but it's not the only channel.
Right.
Um, and then visible, it can be offline as
Hmm.
well. And I was thinking, yeah, that is probably apart from fear, because fear and courage are two separate, or this two
Right.
sides of the same coin. But that is a separate very that I know inside out. But visibility is the even more overarching topic that you could basically wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and just what do you want to know? What do you want to hear?
Well, even in your story, that you were talking about dating and stepping into that
Oh yeah. Oh,
with all the unknowns associated with that, that is being visible in a
oh
whole new
yes.
way there.
Oh yes. So many levels there. I mean, I had to communicate. I mean, I think the worst thing, the most frightening, there are various things. I had a lot of fear, a lot of fear. I mean, but one of the fear elements, one of the areas where I had fear and also shame, shame was a big thing there as well, was I could not talk to my family about this.
Mm,
And I would say there's a parallel there because in my family, there are good things about this and not so good things, but they treated me as completely normal. I mean, as uh, my facial difference was never really talked about. There were certain things where they realized, okay, that's not going to work, such as like playing a wind instrument. That just doesn't work.
right.
Um, and so, okay, so we had to find a solution for that because that wasn't going anywhere. Um, but that's very empowering to a certain extent, but not talking about it at all. And um, I remember sharing a little bit, yeah, it'd be nice to have a boyfriend or something. There was a lot of shame, even saying that.
Wow.
Um, and so when I then disappeared off to Ireland. So there's a huge story. It was a huge adventure. Because I met this guy in Ireland.
Okay.
And because I come from Ireland partly, it was like coming home. And and then this, so I had to leave. I just met him in a pub one night, and I had to leave, and that was the end of that for that trip. But because I live in Germany, I think, and then a friend, and then I just I need to get back to Ireland somehow, and then I created this alibi. So I had this friend who lives in London, and I said, "Hey, would you love to come to Dublin with me?" And so she was my alibi. I was going on holiday with her to Dublin, and I told everyone that. And then, of course, I secretly went down to Cork for a day to meet him again for a coffee. Because I didn't know.
Right.
I really didn't know what is this, but I just need to see what this is. And then it turns out, yeah, it's nothing. It's way more than a coffee that he wants. Uh and and of course I was, oh my God, I think I want some of this as well. But I ran away. I ran back to Dublin because I mean literally I was a virgin at the age of 41. I had never been kissed, and he kissed me. That was the first kiss that I received, a
Wow.
romantic kiss at the age of 41. So I needed to recover from that shock.
Yeah.
And at the same, so there was this very, yeah, there's a lot of fear, shame, and at the same time, I thought, wow, I don't know what this is, but if I don't find out, I might not have the chance again. So I have to do this, or I feel the pull to overcome that fear.
Yes.
Um,
And that
and
right there is going to be a story that people relate to
yeah.
in their own fears, in their own, in their own um, fear of being visible, fear of whatever it is that they want to
Mm.
step into. So that is super powerful. I really appreciate you sharing that. And this has been a fabulous interview. Is there any last words before we close out this interview?
Um, I'm wondering if I might, just because I gave this talk again on Saturday. I don't know if I'm allowed to make any, well, to understand um, the fear, the primordial fear that I had, and I think this has a lot to do with visibility. The main fear is fear of rejection.
Mm,
And and of course I am the queen. I call it the queen of rejection because I was told every single day from a very early age that I wasn't good enough just because I looked different. And I'm not sure if I should say this, but I because I gave this talk in on Saturday, how I overcame a very serious fear, and this involved fear of being physically attacked, um, was acceptance, curiosity, and connection. And so let's say I did a TEDx talk about that, but it was literally, first of all, breathing, accepting, okay, I can't change this right now, just accepting, and then that gives you a bit of mental space somehow.
hmm
And then to get curious, right, what could I learn here? What is going on here? And it was always the curiosity that helped somehow to make that next step. And then the connection was somehow, because there was a curiosity, then I was somehow able to, um, yeah, ask the other person what was going on in the case of rejection, or maybe not to ask them, but just to empathize what is going on in that person's mind. How can I maybe help them overcome their fear
hmm
or their problem, whatever their problem is?
Right.
So maybe that's
Yeah.
something that I might like to leave you with.
No, that's super powerful because you know, you have a lived experience that not everybody has, and having others understand that will help them in some way in some part of their life that maybe they don't think anybody else understands.
Mm.
So it's super powerful, and I really appreciate you and everything that you've shared. So thank you.
Thank you, Kat, for this amazing conversation.